Good day to everyone. I'm delighted to have you with us today as we begin to talk about planning our vote. I'm Reverend Marilyn Robinson. I'm on the leadership team of Women United. And Women United is a group of women from this community who just really wanted to get focused on some of the things that United Way of the Mid-South is doing, but specifically interested in what we can do to help women and children in our community. And our goal really is to begin to focus on advocacy, understanding that we not only need to do the work, but we also need the policies to follow up and to make sure that it is sustainable. We're very interested in advocacy and doing what will make a difference in this community. One of our projects this year, even in the midst of the pandemic, was providing masks for the women and children at the Salvation Army Purdue Center. We're able to get 5,000 masks donated for that organization. And so it's about doing the work and understanding that we've got to be out there and letting our voices be heard. So today we're talking about Be the Change and planning your vote. And this is about getting us ready to make sure that what we have to say really does count. And we know how we're doing it, and we know the process by which to do it. I am so excited about the fact that Miss Linda Phillips is here as our guest to talk through this whole process. She's going to be having a conversation really with Sister Tawan Stout Mitchell. Many of us know Tawan from her 19 years in government service, and particularly her 8 years on the city council. The two of them will really be talking about what is the process. But now, many of you may not know Linda Phillips if you saw her, if you ran into her in the grocery store, but I assure you, you know her work. She came here from Indiana, and Memphis was wise enough to recruit her to be the administrative leader of the Shelby County Election Commission. She's been with us for about 4 years now and has done some remarkable things in terms of updating equipment and processes and procedures. She's got a background in this, but more than anything, she has a passion for this. And we are so grateful that she's taken the time to be with us and to be with you on this day to begin to talk this through. As we begin with this conversation with Tawan Stout Mitchell and Linda Phillips, I want to say a special thank you to Candace Morgan and Kayla Graff, who were instrumental in initially getting this whole program and process together for us. And before we start anything else, I want to make sure that Tawan gets a chance to say hello to everybody and begin her conversation. Take it away, Tawan.
Thank you so much, Minister Merle. We're just happy to have an opportunity to talk to Linda Phillips and for you to hear some valuable information about voting. Everybody's been saying, plan your vote, plan your vote. We want to try to break down what plan your vote means. Because when you truly plan your vote, you will probably have a better shot in executing your vote. And when you execute your vote, your voice will be heard. And that's why I'm glad to welcome Linda here today. I've broken this questionnaire and conversation in 4 parts. I want to talk about registration and eligibility, absentee voting, early voting and election day voting, and finally, your voting rights. I will admit that I have shared some of my questions with Ms. Phillips because I wanted her prepared. This is not a sneak attack. This is real good information for you, and we hope it'll help. Are you ready, Ms. Linda?
I am indeed.
Phillips. All right, Ms. Linda Phillips. Let's go into registration and eligibility. The voting registration deadline was yesterday. What are the qualifications to vote? And how can one check to make sure their registration is on the roll?
Okay. Well, the qualifications are you need to be a United States citizen, a citizen and resident of Shelby County if you register in Shelby County. You need to be 18 on or before the next election. And if you have been convicted of any felonies, you need to have had your rights restored. We got approximately 10,000 online registrations yesterday with the deadline. We probably will not have those processed till close to the end of the week because there's so many. But once that has happened, a voter can go to govotetn.com and check the status of their registration. But as I said, if you just registered online yesterday, give us at least till the weekend. So.
Okay. When you say a citizen of Shelby County, do you have to have a mailing address here? Do you have to have? Okay. What does that mean?
A citizen of Shelby County is someone that either lives in Shelby County or intends to return. So if you are, for example, a member of the military and you intend to return to Shelby County, you may register and vote in Shelby County. Same thing with a college student. If you're away at school and you intend to return to Shelby County, then you are considered a Shelby County resident. Or let's say you have an RV and you spend 6 months out of the year touring the US, but you intend to come back to Shelby County, you are a Shelby County resident.
I say that because I have an adult child who works in Connecticut, but never leaves this Memphis and Shelby County as her permanent address and comes home frequently, too much sometimes. Often we wait until face an election to get people registered. Are there any ongoing programs within your department to keep that process year in and year out?
Yes, we do. We actually have a very dedicated group of volunteers called our deputy registrars, which we train, and they take an oath and they represent us at a lot of community events so that we can continue to register voters all year round. They help us when we go into the high schools to register high school seniors. And then we often will have voter registration drives in conjunction with various festivals. We haven't done a whole lot of that this year, but we hope to get back to it.
And your deputy registrars, how do you become a volunteer for that?
You simply send us an email or dial us at 222-1200 and just tell the person that you'd like to be deputy registrar and we will send you information. Normally we'd have an in-person class, but our next classes will be obviously online.
How do you help a special population of citizens with felonies get their rights restored?
We work actually with the Public Defender's Office, and there are some pro bono projects with one of the bar associations. We have information on our website, and we work with other groups that trying to help felons integrate back into the community. So we work with them and help them through the process as much as we can.
Do you know how many a year you are actually able to restore? And how?
It varies a lot. I think right now we're going on we've done like 120 in the last month. Mm-hmm. So, it has to be potential voter initiated. We don't look for them, but if they come to us, we'll help them.
But you could partner with organizations who work with persons with felonies and do programs with them, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we come and speak at their events, and we'll walk them through the process.
So I can say safely that there is a need to tap that more.
Absolutely. I think studies have shown that people who are voters are more involved in their community, and that's a really good thing for everybody.
All right. Normally, what percentage of the voters in Shelby County are women? Let's get personal.
Actually, it's pretty high. It's about 63%. So.
And in the last presidential election, how was it?
Again, they tend to follow, about 60%. They tend to follow in the same percentage. So
if women made a great push to move that 2% higher, that would be significant.
Make a difference. Make a significant difference.
Okay. Tell me, let's talk about absentee voting.
Okay.
All right. Tell me the process for absentee voting and the requirements.
Okay. Well, the process is it's a two-step process. First, the voter has to ask us for a ballot. They can go to our website, shelbyvote.com, and download an application and fill it out. They have to sign it. It has to have an original signature on it. You just can't fill it out online and email it back to us with a typed signature, because the signature is one of those things we use to make sure that it's a valid application. But basically in Tennessee, you have to have a reason to vote absentee. The most common reason is if you are over age 60, you're automatically eligible to vote by mail if you choose. Other common reasons are you're going to be out of town for the entire early voting period and on election day. If you are sick, ill, or hospitalized, you're entitled to vote by absentee. And that category would include people who are caring or if you have an underlying health condition that makes you more vulnerable to COVID-19, you may vote by checking that box. If you're a caretaker of someone who is sick, ill, or hospitalized, if you're disabled and your polling place is inaccessible, you can vote. Transportation workers, people who are going to be working the election may vote absentee, as can any of my employees or anybody that's on the ballot.
When is the deadline for application?
The legal deadline is 7 days prior to the election. But the problem with that is if you wait until day 7, we will send you your ballot immediately, but there's almost no chance that you're going to get that ballot and mail it back to us by the deadline without the voter spending the money to send it some kind of express service.
So we can say 14 days before the election to be safer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I really recommend if you want to vote by mail, ask for it no later than 14 days prior to the election.
Can you email the application or fax it back?
You can email and fax. Just make sure that if you're going to email it, that it does have your original signature. So either scan it or take a really good picture of it.
Okay.
But we have to be able to see all of the fields, and we have to be able to see the original signature.
Do you need a medical reason from a doctor? Does it have to be signed by the doctor? Okay.
No.
Thank you.
No. When you say you're sick, we believe you.
Good. When should citizens expect to get their absentee ballots? How long after that?
We actually just got the ballots yesterday from the printer, and people are frantically stuffing envelopes at the Operations Center. The first batch will go out tomorrow. We expect to have the backlog of everything we've received so far out by the end of the week. And then usually we get the ballots out within 1 day of receiving the application. Sometimes 2, depends on the weekend, because weekends, although we work all weekend, we don't have mail delivery, obviously, on some of those days.
How could someone track their ballot to make sure that you received it?
Well, again, you go to that handy website, govotetn.com, and there is an absentee ballot tracking system there.
I also found out recently that the United States Post Office has a service which you can sign up online to get notification by email of what mail is coming to you. Mm-hmm. Because they take a picture of your mail and send it to you early. So if I know I'm expecting something from IRS or from your office, I can get a notice the day, the morning before it comes or the day before it comes to be on the lookout for it in my mailbox. Did you know
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I do. I use it I've used it for years. It's called informed delivery. Again, go to usps.com. It's .com, not .gov. Sign up for it, and it's, you'll see the ballot. You'll see a photo of it when you expect to get it, and it's
And that's
a
real
great service.
helpful.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. What are the steps in making sure that your ballot is completed accurately?
Okay, that's a pretty
'Cause-
big problem.
yeah.
Um, There's two ways. We do send an information sheet in each ballot packet that has all of the steps required. So the voter, if they follow those steps carefully, they shouldn't have any problems. However, we've also shot an informative video, which you can get at from shelbyvote.com. And it's a quick 3-minute video, but it takes the voter through exactly how to do the ballot. Because if it doesn't come back to us with an affidavit, it's not in the outer envelope, it doesn't, it might not count. So,
What are the 3 most common reasons for discarding a ballot?
well,
For errors?
the number one reason is that the voter did not sign the affidavit envelope.
Okay.
The second most common
The
reason,
affidavit envelope.
yeah, that when you get your ballot packet, and this will be clear if you watch my video, you put your ballot in a secrecy envelope that has a flap on it called an affidavit. And don't detach that flap. Leave that flap, seal your ballot inside the envelope, and then sign your name on the flap. And then you put the yellow ballot affidavit envelope inside the outer mailing envelope, which is white, and it's addressed back to us, and has a special intelligent mail barcode on the bottom of that envelope that will automatically, if it goes through the post office's sorting equipment, it will automatically go to the right place. And so as a corollary to that, if you decide not to vote, don't reuse those envelopes, because they'll come right back to us no matter who you intended to send them to.
Okay. I always heard a rumor, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to ask you. Is there something on that envelope that indicates an R or a D for the party that the person that's using that ballot?
No, there's nothing on the envelope that indicates the party. There never is on a general election. Now, the inner ballot envelope does show the party, because that's part of the check. Yeah, that's for the primary. So we need to know, to make sure in our final quality control, the person that's looking at that needs to make sure the right party's ballot is in that envelope.
Okay.
But it's not, the outer envelope has nothing, and those are counted and tracked.
Do you need a witness for the absentee ballot?
No, you do not need a witness unless the voter is unable to sign their name or had to have help voting. If they needed help to vote, or they can't sign the envelope, then someone may sign for them. That person needs to sign as the helper, but then a third person needs to have witnessed that to make sure that their voter wasn't intimidated in any way. So it has to be 3 different people then.
I noticed in the August election that a little over 200 people made mistakes on their ballots. And my suggestion would be, because I do this with my mom's ballot all the time. My mom lives here with me. She does not go out to vote, but she votes by mail. She is 92 years old. But after she does everything, I go over everything with her and read out each step, and I allow her to make sure she has done that correctly. And I always suggest that with elderly, have a partner, a voting partner, so they can just check behind you, not to give you advice about who to vote for, but just check that you have completed every segment of that absentee ballot.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And The other thing I would say is be careful if there's more than one voter in a household that's requested an absentee ballot, because a very common mistake is that they didn't sign their ballot envelope. They look alike, but they are personalized for the voter. So if the husband signs the wife's envelope and vice versa, neither of those votes will count. Now,
so keep yours separate.
Yeah, keep yours separate. Make sure you sign your own.
That's right. That's right. I also noticed in the August election that it seems about 3,000 ballots, people requested them, absentee ballots, but they never came back in.
I think there were a large number of people in August who didn't understand that they weren't getting the November general election ballot. When those ballots started hitting, they were the primary ballots. An awful lot of voters are calling us going, there's no president on this ballot. What's wrong?
That's true.
So I think that was the biggest reason for.
I kept thinking that was a big number.
Yeah.
Let's see. My next question is: everybody in the country is talking about drop off your ballot, but in Tennessee you can't drop off your ballot.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
What do
right.
we do?
Yeah. Tennessee requires them to be mailed. Technically by the United States Postal Service, but realistically, we take ballots by DHL, FedEx, UPS, and the Postal Service. However, you get to those. They cannot be dropped off, though. They can't be dropped off at our office. They can't be dropped off at polling places.
So I'm always thinking proactive. If I had a club or organization or a church that wanted to do some goodwill, and people had their ballots and it was 3 days before the election, there's a higher probability they may not get there in time. Could I help my friend or neighbor by paying for their FedEx package to go?
That's fine. We don't care who pays for the postage.
Okay. Because they could run into a problem if the window is only 3 days. And so I would rather help my neighbor get that ballot in by helping to pay for that rather than leaving that ballot at home.
Yeah, the election is on a Tuesday, and they have to be received by 7 p.m. on Tuesday through some kind of mail service. So,
and how often do you get your mail?
Well, we have our mail goes to a post office box, and we pick up daily. On election day, the Postal Service will do a sweep of their facilities here in Shelby County in mid-afternoon, and then they will deliver anything that they have gotten. And then on election day, if a voter takes their ballot to the Bartlett post office where we get the mail and asks for it to be hand canceled or drops it in the mailbox before 5 p.m., we will get that ballot delivered to us.
Good. Let's talk about early voting.
All right.
And voting day. What are the advantages of voting early?
Well, I think voting early is a good way to vote. We've taken a lot of precautions with both early and our election day locations to socially distant, to make sure that they are as safe as they can be. There's gallons of hand sanitizer, disposable styli. We clean surfaces regularly. There are plexiglass barriers between you and the poll workers. You get a pen that says Shelby County, and you get to take it home. It's your pen. And you can pick up.
The government gave you something.
Now, we have also expanded the number of hours that early voting is open. We've added 2 hours in the morning and 1 hour in the evening to allow voters maybe to spread themselves out a little better. So, and then, we will be regularly tweeting out slow locations. So if you want to vote and you don't want to see another living soul, come downtown to the James Meredith office building on Saturday. Or Friday night, pretty much at any early voting location, traffic dies at 4:30.
So, Ms. Phillips, y'all tweet,
Yeah, we tweet.
and you tweet which
We'll,
sites
yeah,
have
yeah,
no lines, no waiting.
yeah. That's essentially what we do. There's no
That's
waiting at
good.
these locations.
That's good. Good to know. Good to know. How many sites will we have this year compared to 2016?
We actually have more sites this year. We have 5 more sites this year than we had in 2016. And we've moved we moved one site. We used to be at Bellevue Baptist Church, but we moved that they couldn't give us a room large enough to social distance. So do go to shelbyvote.com and look at the schedule. We are going to be posting a map soon that'll show where the sites are so that people can, know where they are and they can see what's the closest to where they are.
And when are you fairly comfortable so far about the maintenance of the machines and how, if they are ready to go? I know things can happen.
They are ready to go. We've tested all of them. They're ready. The early voting machines have been tested. The audit team came through and reviewed each early voting machine. We've done logic and accuracy testing on them. So they're in good shape. They're old, but they're workhorses, and voters can be confident that their votes will be counted exactly as they cast them.
What would we need to vote? I know we need a photo ID that's government issued.
Right. You need a photo ID issued by the state of Tennessee or the U.S. government. It doesn't have to be current. It can be expired, but it needs to have your picture and your name on it. And that's really all you need. A lot of people want to get that voter ID card, but you don't need it.
Okay. What about a mask?
We are asking voters to wear masks. We have masks available for those voters who don't bring their own. We strongly encourage it, but if a voter can't wear a mask, and there are some people who can't, you're not going to be turned away.
Will they be separated from others? So at another location, will you have another area where they can vote so they can kind of vote with other maskless people?
Well, we did not see that to be much of a problem in August. Pretty much everybody had on a mask, and all of our voting machines are sufficiently socially distant that you're more than 6 feet away from your closest neighbor.
Okay. And while standing in line?
Again, we've got 6 dots on the floor, 6 feet apart.
And if the line goes outside the door, and what security have you put in place in case of voter intimidation outside the building?
Well, we have trained our poll workers specifically about, how voters could be intimidated. There are stakes placed at the 100-foot line. Our authority doesn't extend beyond 100 feet from the door of the polling place. But we do have a number of protocols in place to make sure that voters feel safe within that 100 feet. There can't be any political activity. And we have on occasion had overzealous campaign workers removed from property. So we want every voter to feel safe. And if they don't feel safe, we want to hear about it immediately so we can.
So if I'm in the line and it's outside the building and I see some voter intimidation going on, I can just go inside to let somebody know?
Yeah, just tell the officer. And we are testing a line management tool that may allow you, if the lines are long, to wait in your car and get a text message when it's your turn to come in. So yeah, that seems to be working pretty cool, but we haven't had a big crowd to test it on yet. So we're looking forward to that.
Can I get time off work to vote?
You can on election day. And the rules are that there have to be, if you work a 12-hour shift, and you can have 3 of them, if you just say work 7 to 7. Now, if you work 8 to 5 and the polls are open till 7, your employer could let you off at 4. he doesn't have to let you off for 3 hours during your workday. You just have to have 3 hours to be able to vote. So that would be 1 hour of paid time, or 1 hour off from your job, and then 2 hours after your normal shift. So
If a citizen cannot read or write or needs assistance at the ballot, can they bring somebody with them?
They can bring
or can
someone
they
with them. They can ask our poll workers.
Okay.
Whether they use our poll workers or they bring someone with them, the person that assists them will have to fill out an affidavit of assistance. It's just a very short little form saying, the name of the person helped this voter.
I noticed the elderly and the handicapped are usually given seats inside to sit down and wait until a station is ready. But sometimes they jump ahead of other people in the line. I'm used to grocery stores having a fast service line. Will you have a fast service line for the elderly and the handicapped?
Probably not, but what we normally do is that the voter, when they're escorted to a chair and they can wait, the officer knows where they are in line, and when it's their turn, they can go and vote.
Okay. I have a series of questions, and these are my rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Just a yes or no. We're getting to the end when we get to rapid fire. If you're in line when the polls are closed and you want to stay in line, do you still have a right to vote?
Absolutely. As long as you're in line by 7 p.m. on election day, we will let you vote even if it takes till midnight.
If you make a mistake on your ballot, can you ask for a new one?
Yes, you can, and we would encourage that. If you have an absentee ballot and you've made an error on it, do ask for another one. So,
why not use a provisional ballot? I know why you do use them, but why would you not use one?
Really, the only time when you would use a paper ballot on election day would be if there was a total meltdown of the power grid and the machines wouldn't function. They're designed to run on batteries for 4 hours or so, but that's why we send emergency paper ballots to the polls.
So if the machine is down and I got to get back to work, I can ask for a paper ballot.
You can, but it really is not a problem that we experience because they do run on batteries and are programmed to do that way. We could get a generator out there in plenty of time before the batteries would go dead.
If citizens could be advocates for the Election Commission to make sure we have safe and accurate elections, what would be your 2 greatest needs for us to advocate?
Well, do whatever you can to combat the misinformation that's floating around out there. Get your information from a trusted site, govotn.com, Tennessee Secretary of State's website, my website. Don't rely on the websites from other states. I get an awful lot of that going, well, you can do it this way in, Texas, or, well, that's fine, but we're not in Texas. So the other thing is, if you can, volunteer to be a poll worker. We're always looking for poll workers. So that's, those would be the 2 things that would really be the largest help. And if you don't want to be a poll worker, learn something about our process. We do often do tours of our facility. And I think once people see the security measures that we have in place and the care with which we do things, they feel a lot more confident in our system.
My final question, I'm always worried about the next generation. How do we prepare boys and girls to fill the shoes of our next election commission director or an employee there? What are the skills traits? What are the competencies that you need to work for the election commission and to be the director?
Well, one of the things that we need is people with attention to detail. Elections are all about detail. So I don't particularly look for any particular skill sets. I look for people who are well organized in whatever they've been doing and very detail oriented, because that's really very, very important.
I think I just want to let people know who are listening that you've been listening to the director of the Shelby County Election Commission, Linda Phillips. I hope we've helped you in getting ready and planning your vote. If you have a problem at the election, on election day or at the poll, always contact someone inside to get clarification. And if you're not satisfied with that answer, you can also call the Election Protection Hotline, 1-866-OUR-VOTE, or your local NAACP, and maybe they can help resolve the issue for you, or explain it in a way that maybe the people at the Election Commission couldn't explain it to you. Whatever it is, don't leave the polls until it's resolved. And Ms. Phillips, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope we've helped somebody plan their vote and get out to vote. On this Saturday, Women United with the Coalition 100 Black Women, with the Area Council of Women, and so many other groups will join together in a socially distant rally and press conference, and we will be encouraging women to get out early. You know, we are the influencers, we are the change makers, and we are the power brokers in our families. And if we move, generally everybody else moves. So I'm asking you to join me at the press conference this Saturday at 10 o'clock at Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church. You can stay in your car in the parking lot while we have the press conference, and you'll hear everything that's going on. And honk your horn, get your sign, put it in your yard, and let's vote early. Thank you so much.
Before we completely close, I believe that Candace Morgan has been compiling the questions in the chat room.
Oh, great.
So we've got a couple, I believe she's got some questions for you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Tawan. And Ms. Linda, thank you so much. We have so much information here. I've been taking so many notes. We do have a few questions from the chat. You've already mentioned that we still need poll workers. How old do you have to be to go out and volunteer to be a poll worker?
You need to be 17 in Shelby County.
Okay. All right, thank you. So that answers that question. The next question is your position a paid position?
Yes. and the poll workers are paid as well. Poll workers get paid $190 for training and the day of the election.
Okay, thank you. Here's another question. I changed my address online with the DMV, and I updated my voter registration card. I did not change my address on my actual driver's license. Will I be turned away because my driver's license doesn't match the voter's registration card?
No, you will not. The address on your ID is completely unimportant. We may ask you what your current address is so that we can make sure you're registered at that address, and to make sure that we pick out the right person, because there's a staggering number of people in Shelby County with the same name.
Okay, and I just wanted to recap. This has been, such great information. We found out today who's eligible to vote, all of the requirements, how to become a volunteer, how to file an absentee ballot, what you can do to really step up and complete the steps to make sure that you have an accurate ballot. Shelby County and the makeup, who knew 63% of the women out there voting? That was a great thing to hear for sure. Super proud of that. Then some of the mistakes. I know that's a question that I always get, some of the mistakes that could happen. We also talked about early voting, what we need to bring with us to vote, time off to vote, and safety and everything from how we can accommodate our elderly and our handicapped. So this has just been so much great information. I think, Ms. Swan, you said it best. We just have to exercise our right to vote and go out and execute and vote. So I'll turn it back over to you, Reverend Marilyn, but thank you again for your time today.
Sorry. And I think we have wrapped this up in an amazing way. Ms. Phillips, you've been a wealth of information. I think even of us, those of us who are seasoned voters, learned something on today. And I really want to thank you so much for your time. I know this is your busiest season of the year, besides Election Day, but we really do appreciate this opportunity to hear from you. Tawana, if there's anything else you'd like to say as we close out. But I know that Women United is very, very grateful for this opportunity.
I just know we are at the cusp of voting. Early voting will start October the 14th. Election day is November 3rd. Make your plan and let's vote in large numbers. Used to say, there was a saying that the majority will make decisions for the government. Unfortunately, it's the majority of those who vote. If you don't vote, you haven't done your civic duty to help make decisions for our government. Let's vote.
Thank you all so very, very much. And also fill out your census if you haven't done it. Thank you so much.
That's right.